Andrew, David, what's
How's it going, guys?
Dude, what isn't new? Everything's new. Everything's in chaos right now.
What's the chaos from?
Well, I guess there's chaos in the world, but I'm talking about chaos in my life right now. Dude, I'm working on some stuff, working on some auth code, and it's been a deal. Been an ordeal.
What kind of auth related things?
Some tweaks and changes and updates. I can't say a lot about it, but just kind of taking like an older system that's kind of spread out a little bit. And then there was like a partial attempt at doing this thing that I needed to do a few months ago that didn't get finished. And now I have to do it again. And it's like, okay, we have this kind of code. It's written in 3 or 4 different places, spread out across multiple different places. And it's like, what's actually the thing that's supposed to happen? Like, how do we want to do this? I've spent more time in meetings talking about it than it took me to actually write the code.
Yeah, that's because you just had Claude do it. You didn't write a damn thing, did you?
I wrote it. I wrote the first part.
Obviously, authentication is like the thing you should throw at AI to generate for you. Like, don't make mistakes. Don't make any security mistakes. Boom, done.
Yeah.
The easiest, most trustworthy thing to write your secure code with, right?
It's funny you say that.
There's never once been any security problems with the AI generated code.
It's funny you say that because I just saw a post on LinkedIn. I saw it on Reddit, but it came from LinkedIn where this guy was like, I just lost tens of thousands of dollars because I was publicly leaking my Stripe key or something like that. He's like, if I had just told Claude, make sure this is secure, this problem would have been avoided. Lesson learned. I'm like, that's not the lesson you were supposed to learn, brother. There were a lot of other lessons.
Learned any lessons? Yeah. Oh man, that's funny. I think I saw that too. Yeah. It's the future we live in. If only I gave it better guidelines. That's it. That was it. That's
all you need.
Yeah.
It's hard to say anything because he's making money and I'm not. So at least he's shipping.
You're working for free for Podia.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they pay me. No, I'm just kidding. Yep. They pay me quite well, I think.
Oh, man. I texted you, or no, you texted me the other night, and I was like frustrated as hell with
you are
with CI, GitHub Action stuff, but I figured it out finally. It took me like 3 hours of, the problem I ran into was sort of my own doing, but very unclear on their end of like, basically I was compiling Caddy for x86 and for ARM or x64 or whatever. And of course, the Caddy builder generates the same Caddy file name. And when you upload it as an artifact, you give it a name. And so I had unique names for those, but then I download the artifact in the release step that I'm trying to do. So it was building just fine. Then I have a second step that after all the builds are done, download the artifacts, create a release, upload those to it. And I was copying what Jeff Dickey was doing for the Ruby steps as well. So that was a great template to start with. A lot more stuff than I actually needed for my simple thing. But one of the steps when you download the artifacts is they download those names as a zip file and then extract to a folder with the same name. And then you're like, so I had like Caddy and the version number and the architecture as the folder name. And then inside was just a Caddy executable, just named Caddy. Well, the whole GitHub upload and create release can take the files as well as you could do that separately in a second step. It was so annoying because I was like, here, use this file, use that file. And they happen to be the same name. Even though they were in different folders, they're at the end, same file name. But the GitHub release CLI was just like, 404. Here you go. And I was like, 404 for what?
Classic.
Like, what is happening? And it took me forever because I was like, well, you're uploading files, so maybe it's not related to that. So I split it out into a separate upload step, or I did it in an upload step with both the files at the same time. That didn't work either. I split it into 2 steps, and then it sort of worked on accident because I had the clobber flag, which if you upload a file and have -- clobber, it just gets rid of all the other assets. That was wrong. So it would like do one, then the other. But then I was like, why is there only one file here at the end of this? And I was like, oh yeah, it's the clobber thing. So I removed that, do 2 separate uploads, 404 again. God dang it. What is going on? And then eventually it finally clicked. Technically, they're the same file name, even though like I'm giving it different paths. I also was giving it labels. So what you actually see on the assets page was like the full name that I wanted. But because the executable file name wasn't unique, it was just like, it's driving me nuts. And then it was like, why is this a 404? Why couldn't you just give me an error? It's like, there's already a file with this name that exists or something, but no. So I was getting real frustrated with that. And of course, it was like 10 p.m. And I was like, I'm just going to give up and go to bed. I eventually figured it out before I went to bed. But dude, CI sucks.
Yeah,
the sheer amount of commits that I would make and then wait 3 or 4 minutes to find out it failed again with the same issue. Then you do it again, make a change, push it, wait again. Drove me almost insane that night. And it was something that like you could ask Copilot or Claude or whatever for help. And it was like, it's a 404. Maybe your token doesn't have permissions to do this or that and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, it's definitely not that because it creates the release and it's able to upload 1 file sometimes, but not 2. It didn't want to understand what was going on. And I was like, oh, I hate everything. But I eventually figured it out.
I just saw that they made a change to the download artifacts job so it doesn't have to download as a zip, because they were like, we find that a lot of people we zip it up and then you guys have to then unzip it when you download it, and that's causing a lot of pain. So we just added a way to not have to download it as a zip.
I didn't really have to. Oh, wait, let's see. Whether there's a skip decompress option for it now. Maybe this is related to that then, because it's set to false. So it will automatically decompress the zip file for you. Because the other thing that I ended up doing was Jeff had the download artifact using merge multiple, which basically means when it extracts those zip files, just do it in the same current directory so that you don't end up with those folders and then the files inside of the folders, which is just kind of redundant most of the time. Because like in this case, I needed separate file names anyways. So what was the point of having those folders? Kind of saves a little step there or a little extra complexity. But, oh, bro.
Yeah.
GitHub Actions.
It says in the update notes that to support direct uploads and Actions upload artifact, the download artifact action will no longer attempt to unzip all download files. Instead, the action checks the content type header ahead of unzipping and skips non-zip files. Callers wishing to download a zip file as is can also set the new skip decompress parameter to true.
Does upload artifact automatically zip them or something?
It used to.
I didn't specify any of that. I just like upload the artifact and then download it. So I noticed the artifacts for like Caddy is like something like 18 or 19 megabytes in the artifact, but then the actual final thing is like 50 megs. They are automatically zipped for me somehow.
It says the new version of Upload Artifact v7 adds direct support for uploading single files directly unzipped. Callers can set the new archive parameter to false to skip zipping the file during upload.
Okay.
Right now, we only support single files. The action will fail if the glob pass resolves multiple files. The name parameters also ignore with the setting. Instead, the name of the artifact will be the name of the uploaded file.
Gotcha. I don't mind that it's zipped or whatever. Like, it's kind of convenient that I only need them temporarily for that build. And it's like, once I create the release, I don't care anyways.
Yeah.
I wonder, do I have to delete? Do these count to any sort of storage?
Yes, they do.
So,
and you can set like a retention policy though.
Okay. I will have to look into that because I did not even think about that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Retention period. Is there a default one? 90 days by default. Okay. That's not bad.
If you're doing
I really don't need it at all.
I was going to say, you
Yeah.
can just do it for like a day.
Yeah, I'll go change that because as long as it was successful and they were uploaded, then like retention period is irrelevant. So that's cool.
Are you tired of babysitting your job queues? Let us do it for you. JudoScale monitors and autoscales your job queues so you can stop babysitting and get back to coding. We support Sidekick, SolidQ, GoodJob, and just about every other job backend in Rubyland. And of course, we autoscale your web services too. JudoScale scales up your apps faster than any other autoscaler, so requests, timeouts, and backed up job queues are mitigated before they become a problem. JudoScale has a free plan you can use forever, so there's literally no risk, whether you're on Heroku, AWS, Render, or any other cloud platform. Visit judoscale.com and get your job queues under control.
It was also my first time doing the convoluted thing of, so we have a workflow dispatch. So you get the button in the UI. We have the version of Caddy as a parameter we want to build. So you can specify like 2.11.2, and then typically it's always going to be latest, which will go until Caddy knows how to process this version. So that's passed in. Then I should pull this up because I had not really used, what do they call it? The outputs.
Oh, yeah.
Between steps and stuff. So I haven't really done any complex GitHub actions before. This was sort of the first one passing things around. So that one, yeah, it has the Caddy version input, and then you've got the architecture. We compile it, we use the matrix to do two different operating systems. The x64 and ARM builds, those run in parallel. Those save the architecture to a variable so we can use that in the file name in a later step and whatever. And that was my first time using like the GitHub env to set up environment variables for the future steps, which is a really cool feature. I'm kind of curious how that works. But then you can use, GitHub event inputs Caddy version to build the Caddy version. Then we take the Caddy version that was actually built, because if you passed in latest, I don't want to create a release for latest. I actually want the version number. So you have to go check it after it builds, send that to the GitHub output so we can use that later in the release so we can get the version number there. And that's confusing because you have to like specify an ID on your step. And then also outside of steps, you have to configure your outputs and also name it and how to get it from the specific step and its outputs, which feels very redundant, but I guess it makes sense. I don't know. Probably is for safety or security, like registering outputs is an explicit way of doing that. And then having the follow-up step needs these others to be completed. And then we grab output from that.
Well, think about it more from
like a very confusing thing.
Yeah, but you're doing it in the next step. Think about like a step 10 things later. Then it makes a lot more sense to be able to like grab them in. There's a few tricks you can use to kind of put the inputs directly into, like there's some interpolation stuff you can do.
That kind of makes sense. I think this is the way they want you to do it.
What gets really interesting is you can have jobs that run on a workflow run event, and then you target a workflow. You can also target branches or ignored branches, and then you can target a state. For instance, I was playing with this where whenever a build fails on main, so whenever the CI build completes with a failure exit code, you run it's a completely separate action that gets triggered. And it's like, oh, I'm going to grab the information from that failure, and then I'm going to send a Slack message. Because we already do that, but we do it in line. And I was like, it doesn't really need to be in line. It can just run conditionally.
Yeah, right.
That's also a way you can take a bunch of artifacts. Like once your job completes, you could then trigger another job that gets all the artifacts from that completed job and does stuff with it.
Gotcha. It doesn't Rails, well, it used to, I guess, with the, when system tests were a thing, it used to take the screenshots that the
Yes.
failed test generated and upload those as artifacts. But I guess not anymore. We don't need system tests where we're going.
We don't even run our system tests anymore. Like, screw it. I think maybe we run them somewhere.
Once a year.
Maybe I was supposed to add the cron job to like run them, or maybe we run them on main or something, but we don't run them in our. Yeah, we just don't run them sometimes now.
Yeah, and those, I guess you could probably do the same thing too, is set up a recurring action that runs on a schedule or whatever. Because I'm pretty sure that like Tailwind CSS Ruby or whatever, that gem, I believe periodically checks to see what the latest version of Tailwind CSS is and builds that. It may be manual, I can't remember, but I know some of the gems like that rely on wrapping like a third party. It makes sense to just like, hey, are there any new versions? Let's just run that once a day or something. And then voila, we have the latest version ready to go, which is cool. I was trying to look and see if that's what Jeff did for the precompiled Rubies and had that set up to run just so that he doesn't have to go in and see if there's a Ruby 3.4.9 release like there was this week and type that in or anything. That would be really annoying if you had to do that at his scale with that many Ruby versions and other languages that may eventually need that too. Be a pain.
While we're on the topic of GitHub Actions, because I'm obsessed with GitHub Actions and I spend too much of my time thinking about them, GitHub released their agentic workflows feature this week or last week or recently, where you can now like deeply integrate Copilot into your CI for like event triggers and scheduled jobs and / command triggers from PR comments and all sorts of things. So like an example would be daily issue report. So you specify a daily schedule and the outputs that it's going to create, and then a prompt. And what it will do is run on that schedule in a GitHub action and use Copilot to do a lot. They have a ton of really good examples on the site. I'll link. One of them that I was like, I'm going to have to add this was called CI Doctor, which investigates failed workflows and opens and tries to fix like the issues it finds, which I find really interesting. Every time you get a CI failure, it could automatically try to fix it or just tell you why it thought it broke.
Right. Yeah, I've seen, I mean, there's obviously some startups trying to do the same thing or whatever, and it makes a lot of sense if you push it up to CI and it breaks because you thought it was going to run just fine locally because it did, but it's different in CI. Like, that's a really good thing to have automated. That's like, oh, it failed, but let me go check this out for you, suggest some solutions or whatever. And it could be a big time saver. Seriously. Honeybadger is a performance monitoring and error tracking tool that combines the best monitoring features in one simple interface with support for all the frameworks you use. It's everything you need to gain real-time insights into the health of your applications. Be sure to bookmark honeybadger.io. That's www.honeybadger.io.
Another one is called Automatic Code Simplifier. So it runs daily and analyzes recently modified code for opportunities to simplify without changing the functionality. It looks at what changed in the last few commits and asks, could this be clearer? Could this be shorter? Could it be idiomatic? And it just opens PRs to try to like improve clarity, consistency, and maintainability automatically.
This is your new, the old red, green refactor.
Yeah.
Those steps. Red, green, CI, AI, simplify.
One, though, I thought that you might be interested in is there's a bunch of issue and PR management workflows. When a new issue is created, it links related issues as sub-issues. It creates discussions. They can do a lot with discussions. So a lot of their examples show like creating issues, but you could do the same from discussions.
I've been getting PRs and issues lately that are clearly AI generated that like don't make sense. One recently, the person closed their own PR because they made a PR to supposedly fix a bug, but it was, we rely on Rails's job to queue up jobs after the transaction. That's super awesome. So it's like this record's going to be in the database. And when Sidekick, no matter how fast Sidekick runs, that's going to be committed and will be able to be pulled out, because that was like a easy mistake to queue up a job before commit in the past. But, we used that functionality and the PR was like, this isn't working. And I was like, well, what are you talking about? This is like a feature built into Rails. This isn't an issue with my gem. We're just using that functionality of Rails. So you must be doing something different or whatever. But I'd love to see an actual replication. And there were a bunch of tests that were in the PR, and none of them really tested that functionality either. And of course, tests are also weird, because how are you going to really test that functionality super well especially when the test background jobs are like, we just cache those in an array and you can choose when to execute them, and your like active job backend is the fake one, not a real Sidekick thing. And I was like, I still don't understand what exactly the problem is here. And it's like, just talking to AI, the weirdest thing about reading a lot of the AI generated PRs and stuff is like, all of it looks like it's being thoroughly explained, but when you're reading it, it just feels like a jumbled mess, and it's very confusing. And you're like, I'm not sure if I'm misunderstanding or what. And every message was kind of that way. Eventually it got closed by the author. I think this is actually something else. And I was like, yeah, that's what I suspected the whole time, but I wasn't sure. And I also wasn't going to put a ton of time into it, because everything's been working fine for everybody else for the last several years. So why would this all of a sudden be an issue? And it's one of those things where you're like, people rely way too much on this and aren't really even understanding what they're doing half the time, trusting that Claude in that case knew what the issue was and how to fix it and whatever else. And clearly the author of the gem was doing something wrong. Here, let me go fix it for you. Whoa, slow down a minute. It's just getting to the point where I'm like, I don't even want to maintain this stuff anymore. If people are going to just do that, it sucks.
Well,
but
then
I
you
do
just
like
spin up the AI agents to combat them, to review their stuff.
Yeah, and the only winner there is Anthropic.
The platforms, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because what was the thing that got announced this week that was like $15 or $20 per code review or something? Was it Claude something or other would do PR reviews? People were like, yeah, whoop-dee, we'll spend $15 per PR. That sounds ridiculous.
Yeah, I saw that. A multi-agent code review tool.
I didn't really look into it much, but I was like, geez. The only winning ones here are the owners of the models.
Yeah. And I'm kind of obsessed with the optimization of it and like the lowering of the cost and the token optimization stuff. But
yeah,
it changes so quickly.
Hopefully long term, this all becomes way more affordable. But geez, I got the email from Hetzner that all server costs are going up considerably because storage and RAM is so much more expensive. And I think Hetzner is still going to be competitive. When is DigitalOcean and everybody else going to have to raise prices? AWS and for their Heroku's probably still insulated from that. Their prices are just tip top.
Yeah, I heard y'all had $200 about that.
$250 a month for 2.5 gigs of RAM. Hell yeah.
I mean, my RAM dealer behind Kmart is charging me more than that, bro.
Yeah. Mr. Tim Cook.
I saw this skit on YouTube where the guy was like, I'm trying to get some RAM. And the Best Buy employee was like, we don't have what you're looking for. And this dude came up in a trench coat and just like opened it. He's like, what you need? I got it. Took him out to the car and opened the trunk. It's filled with RAM, dude.
Oh, man. I've been waiting for the new Apple displays and they were kind of disappointing. But the Pro Display XDR has like 12 gigs of RAM inside the monitor. What? Why does a monitor need that much RAM? That's kind of insane.
We were talking about
or
that.
Any RAM?
Because I just got back from New York and we were talking about that at the retreat. And it was like, I'm like $1,600. So you guys are out your mind.
But that's for the regular studio display. That hasn't changed at all. It's the same thing, but it has Thunderbolt 5 and a different webcam. The display is exactly the same otherwise. Yeah, the Pro Display XDR is no longer available. And now you have the Studio Display XDR, which is 27 inches, 5K, but it's actually really nice. It's better than the Pro Display XDR. It's just smaller, better contrast and everything. Like somebody showed them side by side, and with a pure like black screen and like a white circle moving around, the like glow and stuff around it was just perfectly crisp, like your MacBook displays. Unlike the old, I can't remember if it was the Studio Display, but the Pro Display XDR was similarly like oldish technology. But it's, man, the like monitor market for that kind of high-end monitor is still real expensive. And like, I guess LG and MSI are coming out with displays with the same panel, just like LG had the same panel or whatever for the Studio Display back in the day. But it wasn't reviewed super well or whatever. I don't remember. There were some issues with it, but I guess they're going to come out with the same kind of stuff this year. Supposedly CES had some teasers of those, but Apple's the only one that's actually shipped anything so far. But that Studio Display XDR, what was it, $3,300? But at least it includes that $1,000 stand that you used to have to pay for separately. That's a win, right?
They have a name for that kind of math. Yeah.
Apple math.
I just have a message out there to the developers. Like, bro, if you are writing code in your freaking terminal or editor every day, you do not need this damn monitor. If you are editing videos and photos every day, sure. If not, bro, get on somewhere.
I don't know, dude. It looks so good.
Not on your wallet.
No, seriously. A lot of the other ones are like probably going to come in at 2,000 or less, I would guess. So still expensive because those are very new like technology for a lot of that stuff, at least for monitors. It's wild that like monitors can still be that expensive when you can go to Costco and get an 85-inch TV for $750. And the TV looks really good, actually. Why are monitors so much more expensive? I guess they're just that much more dense for
the
pixels.
CRISPR. When you say that you can get like a $700 TV though, like is it going to be a Hisense TV where like I turn it on, it's like ad, I change the channel, ad.
It was
open your menu, ad.
I think it was a TCL or something. It's not one of, well, I did hear about that with the
yeah.
Was it Hisense that was like even when you unplug your HDMI port while you're in that screen switching inputs, it adds. What the hell? That's
they're
insane.
out their minds.
Well, I did hear something about that they were like trying to use ads as a way to subsidize the cost of the TVs because they were trying to push them to zero. That's a rough market, I guess, trying to get them down to as cheap as possible.
So instead of you buying a product, you become the product.
Yeah, that's why you just pay. There's your argument. Yeah, just pay $3,300 for it. Duh. You just talked yourself back into buying a Studio Display.
I was never in the conversation. Never even occurred to me to buy that thing. When they launched that stuff, I didn't even look at it. I was like, why would I need to look at that? I already have.
I've been waiting.
M5,
Yeah, I've been waiting so long because I used to have my iMac as the main display with two 4K monitors on the side. I don't care how nice those monitors are because they like have my terminal or Spotify or something on the side, like not primary things. But that was like the deal of the century because the Studio Display was $1,600, but you could just get an iMac for $1,600 and just use that. And it had free computer built into it, and it was a phenomenal display. And then they don't do that anymore. They're not like they used to be. So then the Mac Studio means you got to buy another display, and if you want the triple monitor setup. So I've been waiting, and then I get kind of hit with like, yeah, you can get the new Studio Display that's the same old thing, which isn't terrible, but like there's much better monitors for this price these days. Or Spend $3,300, but at least you get this $1,000 stand included. Kind of disappointed because I spent like that much for the Mac Studio. Yeah. No, this doesn't add up. Sucks.
Sad.
Everything's getting so expensive computer-wise these days.
Whenever stuff started popping off, I was like, crap, I better go fill up my gas. Dude, gas is like $4 here now.
I haven't looked here lately, but I saw it was on the rise. We drive a couple miles to daycare and to Costco and back home, and that's about it. So luckily, like, we don't spend a ton, but yeah.
I got V8, bro. I got horses that need fuel.
Yeah, you got
to eat.
You got something there.
I gotta let them out to exercise or they get restless.
We're at like $319. Looks like $299 lowest.
It's about to go back up. They bombed all those ships last night. Anyway, while I was in New York, which had a great time, by the way, went on a pizza tour. Freaking amazing.
Ooh, where'd you go? When I lived there, pretty much all the pizza was good. You could get the dollar slice. It was good. Go to a nicer place. Also good. New York City water, right? That's what makes the dough so good.
I didn't track everywhere we were. One of them was at Village Square Pizza, I believe. That was a Sicilian type. We went to 4 different restaurants, and each one of them was a different style of pizza. And I don't remember the names, so
nice.
I know which one was my favorite.
There's a crispy pizza with a K that I've seen on whatever their YouTube shorts and whatnot. They're supposed to be really awesome. I think they're Sicilian or something.
Yeah, we had a tour and our tour guide was freaking awesome. He's apparently pretty well known because like as we were walking down the street, people were like, "Hey, bro."
Scott's Pizza Tours.
Scott's Pizza Tour. That's what it was.
ScottsPizzaTours.com.
Yeah, he's got some good YouTube going on too. He's got some good engagement.
What an excuse to eat pizza and get paid for it.
Well, dude, he also has the largest, verified by the Guinness people, largest collection of pizza boxes on Earth.
It's called hoarding, but you know.
Yeah, well, we listen and we don't judge. While I was in New York, the speakers for Blast Off Rails started getting announced, and your boy was there speaking.
You're going to be blasting off. I'm excited.
Blasting off.
Have you given other talks? The first one? I can't remember.
When you and I stood on a stage and gave a talk together?
Oh, yeah. That one was a bit of a disaster.
Yeah, it worked.
That was the one where Jason had all the slides. Then Jason gave them to us because he was about to fly home because his daughter was sick or something. And then he ended up not leaving. We tried to work on the slides. He came back, took back over the slides. And then by the time we got on stage, I didn't really know what my section was. It was a confusing last minute talk, but it was good. It was about podcasting.
Yes. I just remember being on that stage.
And Jason.
We had like a 30-minute talk and there were 3 of us. So we kind of split it up into 10-minute sections. And Jason
took a 20-minute section.
Yeah. Chris goes over and I'm looking at the clock, like freaking out because I'm like, I have 5 minutes maybe to like deliver all of this. And I did it. Banged it out.
I need to practice my talks. I can't just wing them live like that, or else I will have to like rant and stuff. And I will go over easily that way. So
I can do it live.
Sorry, not sorry.
That's okay. I talked about my therapist.
You did do it live.
I also gave a virtual talk at Bridgetown Conf. I don't remember the exact name of it now, but I gave a talk then as well. But no, this will be my first solo dolo stage.
When was that? Bridgetown?
Dude, I don't even remember.
I don't think I even knew that it happened.
It was.
Maybe it never happened.
It was within the last 2 or 3 years. I know that.
Okay. A few years. No big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2022.
22. 2 or 3 years, says 4 years ago.
Dude, time flies when you're
You got it
disassociated.
as good of like Adam had been on, what, 4 years ago, David? Is that
Oh, yeah.
what we discovered last week? Yeah. It was longer, a lot longer than it seemed like. So, yeah, time is just a figment of your imagination these days. What else is new? We got Ruby 3.4.9 this week with some bug fixes. I assume it was kind of a scheduled release because we didn't get anything new for 4. They're at least doing the schedule of releases every like 3 months or something, which is nice. Rails announced that, but hasn't really delivered on it. It was every like 6 months is the goal.
Jamie added fnox to our this week.
How'd that go?
So far, so good. I didn't really have to do anything. I just hit Mize install and was good to go. We're moving from 1Password CLI to fnox for managing some secrets.
It's
notably
just
the ones
to have things in multiple places. Like you were talking about earlier, how much you love code being in lots of places. Might as well do the same with your secrets.
Yeah. We're not replacing our like app related secrets. We use like a special encryption thing for that. But I think for like tool related
things, Claude generated. Claude, encrypt these files for me. Throw away the keys.
Yeah. I need to store these environment variables. It makes like a text file like on my website.
Yeah. We made them easily accessible at /.env. Boom.
Well, and then
Done.
You got to worry about your skills that you randomly downloaded from all over the internet, shelling out your secrets too without you knowing.
Well, David, anything? You've been quiet today. Any new stuff going on?
Unfortunately, I feel a little disconnected from Ruby right now since I'm spending so much time working in Vue. And so,
what's new in Vue land, though? I haven't used Vue in quite some time. Vue 2 was when I was using it. So Vue 3 came out and I didn't look into much of any of it.
That's part of my frustration is the app I'm working in. Part of it is written in Vue 2 and part of it's written in Vue 3. So like different parts of the app do things wildly differently. And it's just, okay, I just spent the last 6 months building new features in Vue 3, and now I need to tweak something in Vue 2 for a different feature. So I get to relearn the framework all over again because it's different.
Just make AI upgraded to V3. That'll be fine.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I know. I'm very aware. I've tried to do stuff like that. It's like nothing works now. The app is gone. I think the server got deleted.
Yeah, Vue 2 was end of life December 31st, 2023. So a couple years ago, 2.5 almost. Interesting. I didn't realize it was fully cooked, fully baked.
Yep. Fully baked.
So there's not an easy way to migrate?
That response tells me everything. For the listeners at home, the look on his face was just pure exasperation coupled with like anger, frustration, and a little bit of depression.
It's not a matter of it being easy. It's a matter of just like the amount of code that is in Vue 2, the amount of man hours that would be required to get all of that rewritten into Vue 3 while, the company continues to demand
man hours.
Revenue generating things instead of just this tech debt. Who cares about tech debt?
Yeah.
Not me.
Yeah, that's the painful thing about some of those approaches that were like, well, I don't even know if I used Vue 1. Vue 1's not even mentioned as a thing anywhere on the website. Vue 2 and Vue 3, when a lot of those things are so new approaches and then they get worked into a corner where it's like, oh crap, this is the wrong interface for things. That gets really painful because you can't just upgrade. There's no like automated path or backwards compatibility or anything. It's just kind of like you're going to have to rewrite some stuff and that's just how it goes. Those are extremely painful. Extremely. And like a lot of times there's no way to get around that either because you learn as you go and you build things and you have an idea and then like this gets adopted by whatever big users and They start building things that you didn't even realize you would like to have support for solving those types of problems. You only kind of discover that too late when you're like have an interface in the wild and then have to walk back and redo it. That sucks. And it's just, I guess, a fact of life, learning. But that feels like the worst part of programming a lot of times is like, oh, crap. It's not worth the effort to upgrade right now. Can't justify it. But also there was no way to like automatically upgrade or anything. And it just sits.
Yep. Super fun.
Yeah. There's a lot of documentation in this Vue 3 migration guide. There's a lot. Oh, yeah. Even the VF and V4 precedence when used on the same element has changed. Oh, God. That stuff. Those basic things that you think will work the same between versions, they do not. Oh, yikes.
This is what we call a breaking change.
Yeah, that's what I was reading from the breaking changes page. And yeah, this looks rough. Easy ones are like, we changed the destroyed lifecycle option to unmounted. Great. Find, replace. Some of these other things, like the VIF and V4 precedents, good luck. There's no way to like know that you were at least statically analyze that and know that you were relying on the weird order of things previously. That is painful. No fun. Andrew, you will be proud of me. I, for a while, have been using LazyVim on my main machine, but I had just like left it as the LazyVim installation script as it was. There were so many little flaky things that didn't work right half the time, and I got tired of it finally and just blew it all away. Just started from scratch, added plugins and everything just one by one, and I'm in a decent spot with as minimal amount of plugins and things as possible, because that was the other thing, was like I ran the LazyVim installation script and I forget the name of the plugin, but when I would like save a file, there'd just be a whole lot of overlays of warnings of some plugin that was generating errors, and it would like cover the whole side of my editor. And I was like, what the hell is this? This was a plain NeoVim install, and I just ran the LazyVim install script, and that was it. And it was just like generating errors constantly. And yeah, I really appreciate NeoVim having the Lua configuration, because that's much easier to deal with than the Vim script stuff. It's just much more comprehensible and more comprehensive too. You can do a lot more with that, but my goodness.
I think I've tried LazyVim in the past, and I was like, this just has too much stuff. But I do use lazy.nvim, which is confusing.
That's what I was so confused about. Yeah. So lazy.nvim is like a replacement for like Vundle and Vim plug and whatever countless other plugin managers. Yeah. That was so confusing to me because I thought they were the same thing. And I was like, how the hell am I going to use LazyVim and use this just for managing plugins? I was so confused. So lazy.nvim is just a plugin manager, which is great. And it works really well. It is used inside of LazyVim. It was so confusing that those were the separate projects. I thought they were the same thing. And I was like, why am I going to use that? Isn't this going to screw up everything? Because I don't want all this crap here. Colin linked me to some Kickstart NeoVim repository.
I think I use that.
It's excellent.
I use it that splits it though. Like there's a fork that has everything in like separate like Lua modules, whatever the hell they're called, instead of like configuring all the plugins in like one big file.
Yeah, this is kickstart.nvim. Here, I'll put a link. It's under the nvim Lua organization, so it's probably the one you're talking to.
Yeah, I think TJ
are talking about
that one.
Yeah, I think I saw. Yeah, he's the third contributor there. Yeah, that one's great because it has pretty much the majority of setup that I started with. And I wish I had just used this because, and maybe I will go back to, I think you can use this and then add to it with extensions pretty easily, like drop something in a folder or whatever. and it will load those extra configurations pretty easily.
Yep.
It seems nice. But my goodness, I had like a headache that day or something. I wasn't feeling great that morning, and I was like, I'm not going to work on anything. And then I was like, you know what? My Vim setup has been a pain in my butt for so long. I'm just going to fiddle with that. And then I spent the entire day trying to set it up and get it set up with not using some of the old stuff like Nerd Tree and using the whatever NVim tree or whatever that one is. There's a bunch of options. And then you've got like FZF, Lua, and 4 different ways to install and use FCF with NeoVim. And everything has like 8 different ways of doing the same thing. How do you find the one that seems to be the most well maintained and the fastest one? Because some of them were kind of slow. Somebody had like a FCF native or what? I don't remember now. It's all so confusing. There's so much stuff. It's so like sort of poorly documented too, because the instructions for a lot of old things would be like, here's how you install it with, Vim plug. And there's nothing with lazy.n. And then I guess NeoVim Nightly has its own Vim pack thing you can use to manage packages, but it doesn't do updates or something. I don't remember. It's not well documented. It's not out yet. Trying to keep up with all the stuff. It seems like a job in and of itself. No wonder so many people just use VS Code or something.
Well, I use Kickstart. Like I have NeoVim installed in VS Code, and it uses your NeoVim config, and Kickstart is what my config is. So,
gotcha. Yeah, I need to re-enable that because VS Code I had using NeoVim, and then when I blew everything away, it got confused pretty badly, and then I think I uninstalled that extension. I need to reinstall it because the Vim stuff in VS Code is not great.
No, and you can customize it like the VS Code from your NeoVim config files. There's like a flag that you can check if it's being accessed via VS Code, and then you can like do like, okay, well, if we're in VS Code, do these settings and these plugins, and if we're not, do these other ones.
Okay.
Because VS Code doesn't support all plugins, so you can kind of just be like, okay, well, if we're doing VS Code, just do these 4 plugins that I need for like editing or whatever.
Yeah. Do you have your dot files anywhere?
Yes, they're out of date. The NeoVim VS Code, let me make sure. Ironically, lazy, not lazy.nvim, but lazy, like the wrapper, has a bunch of examples on how to do this. If you go to the VS Code NeoVim repository, it tells you how to do it.
This extra will only load when vim.g.vs code is set. Interesting.
Yep.
You can set VS Code equals true on a plugin spec. Interesting. That's cool.
So I don't know how.
What is Tree Setter?
Tree Setter
I was confused what the hell
I thought that was the thing for like LSPs or whatever.
I tried to wrap my head around it. Most people and things like required it to exist. And then the explanation, the about of NVM Tree Setter or NVim Tree Setter configurations and abstraction layer. Great. That doesn't tell me anything. The plugin provides functions for installing, updating, and removing Tree Setter parsers. A collection of queries for enabling Tree Setter features built into NeoVim, a staging ground for Tree Setter based features. It still doesn't tell me what a Tree Setter is.
So it's like grammars for languages and stuff.
For like understanding the languages.
Yes. The list of language for which a parser can be installed. It's like a parser
manager or something.
What the hell is NeoVim Tree Setter?
Does nobody have, because it just is referenced all over the place. And then I was like, but nobody has a clear explanation of what this is and what
Tree Setter is a new parser generator tool that we can use in NeoVim to power faster and more accurate syntax highlighting.
All right. Got it.
That makes
I can
a lot more
understand
sense.
that.
So it's not the LSPs, it's for the syntax highlighting.
Got it.
And it also has things, like when you type def and then it automatically puts like the end, that would be an example of like a tree sitter thing.
Got it.
Yeah, because they have like
that was the case.
NVM TS auto tag automatically adds closing tags for HTML and JSX. Yeah. So stuff like that. It also allows you to do things like navigating like the functions, like the inner and outer functions and things like that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Last thing I was going to say, did you guys see Marco's things this week with Herb?
No.
So a couple of these were really awesome. This was from March 5th, was he had toggling ERB and HTML comments because they're different are pretty annoying because you need to be able to, like, if you comment out an if statement, you want to comment also the HTML inside the if statement. But if you only comment those ERB tags, the inner HTML will still get rendered. So he's been working on that with Herb. So I guess he's doing something custom to pull that off because language server protocols don't support that. Then there's some other cool stuff though. Like he had an idea of like, if your closing tag is really far away, it might be useful to see like this closing tag closes what ERB line. So if you have like a loop or an if statement or something that's a long ways away, it would be able to tell you that, which I think is useful. In some cases, you might not always want to see that because it might be a long line that pollutes kind of what you're looking at. But it also could be cool to have that where you could like inspect it somehow and have it jump to the line that it's closing. If you hover over the end, being able to hover or highlight the original line or something, some cool stuff around that I think would be helpful, especially when your templates get long and confusing. And then what was that? My favorite one was he has a little convert to HTML helper. So you can like click on a link to, and it will show you exactly the HTML it's going to generate, which can be really useful if you got some like strange attributes or data attributes and you're not sure if they're going to be hyphenated or underscored or whatever. Being able to do that and have it just generate that or just display it in a tooltip or whatever. Primo. Love that. That was my favorite freaking thing for sure. And it looked like it wasn't too terrible to do because I think it's kind of like as it's rendering the content there, it should be able to annotate that inside the output when it's rendering or whatever. But Marco's been up to some super cool stuff. So I just wanted to shout him out because those things I think are part of the worst part of Rails, the hardest part of Rails, just keeping up with those. ERB just is rough because it's not Ruby, it's not HTML, it's a weird mixture of both and can be really frustrating sometimes. And this makes it not frustrating, which is awesome. So yeah, shout out Marco. It's the best. Or as my son Jackson would say, you're my best.
Well,
we're done here. See you next week.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Have a good weekend, guys.
Later.